We're going to call the meeting to order. Michelle, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Flag's over here. Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, our next item, 2.2, is our welcome and introductions. And we're going to start with Randy down below, please.
Randy Gilman, Assistant Superintendent, Elementary.
John Stewart, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Brock, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
Tammy Cardona, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary.
April Meckel, Board Member.
Jim Shalhoub, Board Member.
Susan Graham, Assistant to Superintendent and incoming Secretary to the Board.
Judy Turney, outgoing Secretary to the Board.
Vicki Hansen, Board Member.
Michelle Chamberlain, Board Member.
Carol Yant, Board Treasurer.
Paul Frigo, Superintendent.
Okay, and I'm Crystal Hargis, the Vice President. On the behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all of you to tonight's meeting. I'm filling in for Judy Smith, our board president. She has been on vacation the past couple of weeks, and as you can imagine, we have received hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails. One of the duties as the president is to answer all the emails on the board's behalf. It has been a little difficult for Judy because her service has been sketchy, to say the least. And we apologize if someone did not receive an answer to their email. We don't want anyone to feel like we intentionally are ignoring you. This board reads every single email we receive, and we recognize all your concerns. I'd like to just talk briefly about some expectations tonight. We understand that emotions are high tonight, and we are in trying times, and we have different feelings about the virus. The board would appreciate, during public comments and mitigation discussion, if you would listen with compassion and understanding. We all have stories to tell of why we feel the way we do. Please don't yell out, boo, or give individuals standing ovations. We have some hard decisions to make tonight, and we want to hear what our patrons and other board members have to say tonight. All right. Okay, our next item is the approval of the meeting minutes from August the 3rd, 2021. I need a motion.
Motion Chamberlain.
Second.
April 2nd. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is 2.4, the approval of the agenda for August 17th, 2021. I need a motion.
Second, Shalhoub.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we're moving. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item is comments, and tonight we have
The American Heart Association.
yes, we have someone from the actually Kelly Bright from the American Heart Association. She's the youth market director of the Heart Association, and she's here to talk about the great work that our Fox PE teachers are doing. Kelly, you may come to the microphone.
Thank you very much to the Fox School Board for allowing me to come here and present to you tonight. I'm here to speak on behalf of the American Heart Association. My name is Carrie Bockert, and I'm a youth market representative. I work primarily with the PE teachers in most of your elementary schools in the Fox School District. And I am here to thank you and give you some great news for the amazing support that you guys give the American Heart Association. Okay, this year was extremely challenging for school districts as well as nonprofits like the American Heart Association. Several of the schools in your district made the choice to continue a tradition and provide some sort of normalcy in their schools. As you can see, Fox is one out of 14,000 school districts across the country that partners with us. Thank you. This year, Fox was the number 6 school district in the state of Missouri, coming in behind Fort Zumwalt, Rockwood, Parkway, Ladue, and Hillsborough, which is a huge feat considering the many kids that remained virtual. Also, Emily Wartenberg from Seckman Elementary has been nominated for a 2021 Missouri Hearties Award. This award recognizes our top schools, districts, and volunteers across the state of Missouri, and winners will be announced at the end of August. Among the schools that participated, when families registered online, they took a challenge to be kind, move more, or drink more water. And as you can see, 615 families took that challenge, and the pie chart represents what challenge they took. Collectively, Fox raised over $28,000 for the American Heart Association. This is the kicker. Your lifetime total is over $1 million. Give yourselves a round of applause. Our research grants start at $25,000, so this equates to your school district funding approximately 41 research studies over the years. What an amazing impact your community has made. We value the partnership with Fox to share the importance of heart health and our life-saving mission. Here is the honor roll for the 2021 school year. As you can see, these are the schools that partnered this year. Some took a break due to COVID and the challenges that school brought, but an amazing impact, and I just want to thank these schools again for their amazing support. Of the money that was raised, the American Heart Association allocated $2.5 million towards COVID research and the impact on heart health. We continue to need the help of school districts like Fox to continue our mission. There was a significant lack of physical activity among youth, which we saw skyrocket as a result of COVID and at-home school. Our Kids Heart Challenge and our American Heart Challenge help to supplement your health and PE curriculum to teach students lifelong habits. The AHA continues to advocate for healthy school lunches and has been instrumental in eliminating the vaping pod flavors that appeal most to youth, on top of helping to increase the legal purchase age of e-cigarettes. This year, the AHA, in conjunction with some partner organizations, developed a brand new vaping prevention resource intended to supplement health curriculums for middle and high school students. Finally, we continue to be the leader among CPR training in the United States. Last year, many Fox families learned how to do hands-only CPR and the signs of a stroke through our online platform. My goal for 2022 is to see this number significantly increase among your families. Globally, neighborhood safety and housing security, access to healthy food and environments to exercise, and low socioeconomic status are impacting our St. Louis and surrounding metro communities. As you can see, the life expectancy in Jefferson County is ranked lower than neighboring St. Louis and Franklin counties. At the AHA, we are committed to be the catalyst to create change. These health disparities make prevention of heart and brain disease tough. So why should you all care? Our mission at the American Heart Association is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. As Mr. Rogers famously said, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. On behalf of the American Heart Association, thank you to the Fox School District for being one of the helpers.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, our next item is the Patriot comments. Again, I just really like to remind you to be kind when someone is at the mic. It's very, very difficult to get up and speak for some people. So we would all appreciate it if you show that person kindness, even if they have a differing opinion than you do. All right, Judy?
Randy?
Okay, Mr. Gilman.
Mr. Gilman.
Problems involving a particular identifiable employee and our students are reserved for executive session. I'd like to remind our speakers that per district policy, only items from the posted agenda may be discussed. A maximum of 30 minutes at the beginning of each meeting will be allocated for public comments. A 3-minute time period will be allowed per speaker. A warning will be given after 2.5 minutes. Our first speaker this evening is Scott Williams.
April, at the end, would you let me know if we have more time? Okay. Yeah. I'll try to do too.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to briefly speak to you this evening. I am a foster parent with 2 children here in the Fox School District. As a foster parent, my #1 role is to advocate for their best interest. I am here tonight to speak to you as an advocate. This past year, we all quickly found ourselves trying to teach our children from home outside of a traditional school setting. What we learned is that our children need stability. They need routine, friends, and most importantly, they need our teachers. What they don't need is another day or another week in quarantine or virtual learning. Last week, the district stated they were following CDC and Jefferson County Health Department guidelines. The health department pointed out that is not true. Then on Thursday, the health department issued new requirements, which included masks being required in schools. To quote Dr. Frigo from my call with him yesterday, these new requirements threw a wrench in the district's plans. The district quickly moved to new guidance. That guidance is a new law signed this summer, Missouri House Bill 271. Tonight you will learn that this law only applies to political subdivisions. By Missouri's own legislative definition, Fox is not a political subdivision. Therefore, law does not apply to this board. Yesterday, we learned St. Louis Children's Hospital has a max bed capacity of 333 patients. Yesterday, they were at 343 patients, 10 over their cap. Cardinal Glennon in the same position. This is before we open our doors with an optional mask policy. You do not have a mitigation plan. There is no planned testing, no mandatory masking, no social distancing, and for children under the age of 12, no vaccine available. In fact, this plan will increase the number of students who are required to quarantine outside of school. How? In your plan, if someone tests positive, someone tests positive and they come in contact with another student who is not masked, they all quarantine for 10 days. That could be an entire class. However, if everyone is masked, then only the person who tests positive has to quarantine. If this board votes to keep a mask optional plan in place, your action is prime evidence of absolute negligence to provide a safe and healthy environment.
30 seconds.
This board has a code of ethics, and I would like to read to you number 7 on your list. Render all decisions based upon available facts and independent judgment, rather than succumbing to influence of individuals or special interests. I mentioned to you here today that my role is a child advocate for their safety and well-being. As educators, as administrators, as leaders, who are you advocating for? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Milton McDaniel.
Greetings, members of the board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk. I have 2 small points and 1 main point. First off, I initially heard rumors that there were some who believed House Bill 271 might prevent the school from issuing a mask requirement. I worked at a law firm for about 15 years, and this is simply not true. I emailed each board member, and honestly, I've been assured by multiple ones that you know the truth, and you've been informed as much by your legal counsel. Nonetheless, in short, 271 doesn't prevent you from requiring masks, nor does it prevent the health department recommending that schools require them. Second, Dr. Frigo, a conversation aired on August 12th with a Fox 2 reporter where you said, the guidance changes periodically, and we will continue to monitor the CDC and Jefferson County Health Department if they change things. Then the reporter asked you if that's how you make your decision-making process, and you said yes. Yet the health department has since stated they recommend that schools require masks. As of yet, you haven't stated why you're diverging. This is the first board meeting since you updated that guidance, so I hope and pray that you'll be revising your decision to require masks in accordance with that guidance. Also, no one on either side wants to be placated. We all know we have great kids. We all know we're trying parents. I ask that you be candid with us and speak direct in your reasoning. Which brings me to my main point. The district current guidance is not a plan. There are no contingencies, there are no timetables for every evaluation, there are no guidelines for what is considered a significant rate increase or rate decrease, there are no what-ifs addressed. The lack of a plan means there's no consistency. Without consistency, it begs confusion, and when people are confused about the decisions you're making regarding the health of their children, it's going to breed anger. And honestly, that anger is deserved. If the decision makes a plan with stated goals and expectations, there's at least some reasoning for your decisions. People, both for and against, will likely not be happy, but they will at least understand your reasoning. There's less surprises. The best way to solve a problem is to be prepared and to have a plan. Our problem, the problem we face today, is not a mask. The problem is a highly contagious virus, a virus that we learned about and a variant that we didn't even know existed until a few months ago. So to start this plan, based on rising rates, increased child hospitalizations, health department recommendations, the infectious disease department at Washington University, and the personal health reasons of families like mine and these over here, start with mask requirements, reevaluate every 30 days. At a minimum, if you don't require it for everyone, take into account other variables. Not everyone is afforded the opportunity to get vaccinated, so take that into account. If a child is unable to have the option to be vaccinated, at least afford them that extra layer of protection and require masks for that classroom. If and when a vaccine is approved, you can reevaluate. Make a plan. Say if the infections of children and teachers going to school go over 1%, make masks mandatory. If we're in a period where masks are mandatory and we see rates decline, reevaluate. Maybe we don't need them anymore. So on and so forth. Draft a plan, make recommendations, explain the reasoning, be transparent. Reevaluate these factors every 30 days, and during those interviews, issue new guidance.
Time.
Making a plan is difficult, but at least we're prepared. And being prepared makes for a less difficult future. Thank you.
Next speaker is Peggy Plymouth.
Good evening. I want to start by thanking each of you for the time and dedication you've given to the district. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and I greatly appreciate the time you've taken to talk with us this evening. My name is Peggy Plymouth. I'm a concerned parent. I have a 10-year-old son who will be attending Fox Elementary and a 12-year-old daughter going into 7th grade at Fox Middle. We've had the chance to meet with several of you over the last week, as my family has camped out at central office for the last 6 days to get this policy changed. It was brutally hot, but we knew the importance of having our voice heard. Thank you to those of you who took the time to listen to the statistics and personal stories we were able to share with you as to why a mask mandate should be in place when school begins next week. Last year, both of my children had to quarantine multiple times. Eventually, we pulled our daughter and had to have her attend virtual school. Going in and out of the classroom is very difficult, from the stress of being exposed to someone with COVID to attempting to keep up with a class from afar. Her experience as a virtual student was isolating and had a lasting impact on her mental health. The science is very clear. Masks work when everyone is wearing them. Masking studies being quoted that apparently show masks don't work have been retracted. A very simple Google search shows this for anyone who is willing to look it up. On the other hand, every peer-reviewed study done on the subject proves masks prevents COVID from spreading. This is a very basic reason as why all health organizations recommend masks inside. My 7th grader was luckily able to get vaccinated. However, my 5th grader doesn't yet have that option. The only protection he will have against the rapidly spreading Delta variant is wearing a mask and being surrounded by people wearing masks. This very simple fact is the reason every organization with a say in the matter has come out in support of required masking in schools. On this list, you can see all of the agencies recommending schools require masking K through 12. This list includes agencies like the CDC, Jeffco Health Board, AAP, 450 local pediatricians, and DESE, among others. On this list, you can see every agency recommending to make masks optional. As you can see, there is no one on this list. I would like to know why your current policy defies every single health organization and expert that has a say in the matter. There are 31 school districts in the St. Louis and Jefferson County area that have published their masking guidance. Only 6 of those districts are making masks optional. These districts represent only 16% of the total student population in the area. As you can see, our policy is vastly in the minority. Unfortunately, we have already seen the outcome of districts who are not requiring masks. There are numerous reports from all over the nation of schools having big outbreaks, only to shut down and convert to a mask-required policy. Dr. Frigo and the board, tonight you will make the biggest decision of your time in the district. I say this because your vote tonight will determine the number of students who test positive or are forced to undergo virtual schooling and get sick or worse. I hope you will listen to the science and the experts. Please remember that the enemy we're fighting is COVID and not each other.
Next is Abigail Plymouth.
Abigail, if you could please move the microphone down, because we're having some difficulty up here hearing.
I don't know how to do this.
There.
Okay. Hello. I want to start by thanking you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am Abby Plyman, and I am a 7th grader at Fox Middle School. I strongly believe that masks should be required for the Fox district. Some of you may recognize me as I have been in the heat and rain peacefully protesting at Central Office for the last 6 days. This is not how I wanted my family and I to spend the last days of summer. However, I have been taught to stand up for what is right. And unfortunately, the current district policy is wrong. I want to thank those of you who have stopped and talked with us. In November of last year, I was a new student to the district. I was in person for about 2 months, but after being in and out of quarantine multiple times, I decided to go fully virtual. Being a virtual student was extremely difficult for me. When you are a virtual student, it is very difficult to make friends, and it is a very lonely and isolating experience. I spent many of my school days home alone, working on assignments, as both of my parents were usually at work. My mental health was very negatively impacted. It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't been through the experience. I know many other virtual students feel the same way. When I was in school, I wore my mask every day, all day. Simply put, it wasn't a big deal. Very few students ever complained about wearing a mask. It was just a part of everyday life. It confuses and frustrates me that the adults are making such a big deal out of it when most students just don't care. Masks don't hurt my mental health. Quarantines and virtual schooling hurts my mental health. My brother, who goes to Fox Elementary, is not yet old enough to get vaccinated. Every day that he goes to school, he is exposed to those who cannot get the vaccine and or choose to not wear a mask. As his older sister, I am very concerned for him. Depending on your decision tonight, my parents are considering having him start the year virtually. It breaks my heart to know he may have to go through the same thing I did. I have heard that this year's virtual program will include even less social interaction than last year's. Since kindergarten, I have been taught to look at the data to make decisions. This is a very simple concept. Here's a few examples. When I get a paper back, I look at my grade to know how well I did and what I need to change for next time. In band, we use a program that listens to the notes I play and then gives feedback to tell me how to play better.
30 seconds.
In science, we use data tables to show the results of experiments. In sports, we get feedback from our coaches and fellow teammates to learn how to improve. These are just a few examples of how data is used in everyday life. Data drives all decisions. In the case of masking, the data and evidence is very clear. We need masks to stay safe and keep our schools open. I want to thank you again for allowing me the time to speak, and I hope you make the right decision for me and all the other kids like me.
Aaron Oliver.
As stated in the district's mitigation document, it notes, and I quote, "All plans must be flexible and adjusted as conditions change and new research becomes available," end quote. I contend that since the release of the district plans, conditions have changed. The Jefferson County Health Department has updated their guidelines since the release. Our county remains in the red status for both positivity rates and the 7-day total of COVID cases. The highest increase in positivity rates has come from the 0 to 9 group. The number of children hospitalized for COVID-19 reached an all-time high in the United States this weekend, according to the data from U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The Delta variant is proving children are absolutely at risk for severe illness and hospitalization. Aside from the physical toll that COVID is taking on our community, our children are experiencing loss at a greater rate because of community inaction. As the largest school district in Jefferson County, it is our responsibility to be a leader and set the standard for other school districts, not follow. Our goal is to keep our children in school and keep them safe and healthy in the process. As taken directly from the Fox C-6 mitigation document, quote, "Based on CDC and Jefferson County Health Department guidance, unvaccinated students who have close contact with a positive case of COVID-19 will not be excluded from school if both the individual who tests positive and the close contact are wearing face coverings," end quote. This statement says it all. Mask mandate would accomplish our goals. 2 masks equals stay in school. The mitigation document also states it will continue to follow updated guidelines and collaborate with our local health department. The CDC, American Academy of Pediatrics, the Jefferson County Health Department, as well as 450 local doctors have recommended mask mandates for school in the fall. If we are not listening to these experts that make decisions based on scientific fact, who are we getting our guidance from? How many of our kiddos have to get sick before we listen? At a time when society tends to treat opinions and conspiracy theories as if they are equal counterparts to objective truth and science, as an educational entity, we must say enough is enough. They are not the same. We do not need to treat them as if they are, particularly when the lives of our children and teachers are at stake. It's up to leaders to lead with integrity, which includes making difficult and unpopular decisions based upon science and data from trustworthy sources. Finally, I want to say that in the face of adversity over the past 18 months, our teachers have been extraordinary. They have persevered over the greatest hurdles, having taught virtually in a hybrid format successfully with masks. Dr. Frigo and the board, our children need you to stand up for them. Do the right thing, even though it is hard. If we show our children that their lives and well-being matter, that masking is caring for themselves and others, they will rise to the challenge that we face together. Let's seize this opportunity to role model the character education that we teach here at Fox C-6. Thank you for your time.
Laura Dresch.
Good evening, Dr. Frigo, board members. First and foremost, thank you for taking the time to listen to all of our concerns this evening. COVID-19 became a worldwide health crisis over the last year and a half. We are exhausted. We are all tired of fighting this fight, but COVID is not. It is real and it's ramping up again. The current COVID-19 mitigation policy Fox C-6 has put in place is not actively fighting that fight. The CDC recommends universal indoor masking for all teachers, staff, students, and visitors to K-12 schools, regardless of vaccination status. The definition of universal is this: affecting or done regardless of all means all, basically, is what the CDC is saying. By not enforcing a mask mandate, you are removing the guarantee that all will be masked. I do understand that the district is taking a stance on free choice. However, this COVID mitigation policy is taking the choice away from many families. I'm taking a great risk tonight to be here representing those stories. a little about me and mine. I'm a 39-year-old married mother of 4. I was born with an autoimmune disease. My body is attacking itself every single day. I'm not bald by choice, but it'd probably be pretty cool if I was. There was no real way to know if I would survive COVID, and I'm not willing to take that chance. 2 of our children will be seniors at Fox High School this year. These amazing humans were born at just 29 weeks gestation. That's 11 weeks early. Both children were immediately placed on ventilators at birth, then spent the next 6 weeks of their brand new lives in the NICU, fighting to keep them. They have both battled chronic lung issues their entire lives. They are high risk. We had the choice last year for virtual schooling to be able to keep them safe. Our daughter embraced it and did an amazing job. She ended the year with a 4.0. However, her twin brother more than struggled. He's a non-medicated 17-year-old child. Self-motivation and focus are not his strong suits. Our BC average child failed 6 classes last year. He himself is distraught over it. You see, soccer is our son's one true love. He's dedicated his entire life to the sport, training multiple days a week for many, many years. Because our son absolutely could not learn in a virtual environment, he's not now able to play his senior year, according to
30
Misha.
seconds.
How, as parents, do we choose between saving our children's lives and making sure that he can walk across the stage with his twin sister? We can't. The impact is huge. Financially, medically, it's huge. In conclusion, I'm asking you, please take this to a vote. Protect my children. Their lives are literally at stake.
Erica Voss.
Dr. Frigo and members of the school board, thank you for letting me speak with you tonight. My name is Erica Voss. My son Thomas is a 2nd grader at Antonia Elementary School. I'll just mention I stutter. A lot has been made of parent choice when it comes to discussing the issue of masking in our public schools. I'd like to tell you what choice looks like to my family. My son Thomas is on the autism spectrum and needs significant assistance at school. He has an aide with him full-time in the classroom and struggles with socially and emotionally appropriate behaviors. In the fall of 2020, we chose to school Thomas virtually at home. His teacher was awesome, and thankfully, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I was able to sit with him and walk him through his assignments. He did fine academically. However, he regressed significantly in his behavioral development, and honestly, it was a hellish few months for our family. We made the difficult decision to send Thomas back for in-person learning for the spring 2021 term. We saw our school, Antonia, work as a team to mitigate the effects of COVID, and they had good success keeping students and staff healthy and in school. We had to weigh the very real consequences and damage to Thomas's development, were we to continue keeping him home, against the risk to his health were he to contract COVID-19, but also to the elevated risk to my husband. My husband has a rare genetic disorder called Birt-Hogg-Dubé, which has caused structured lung disease and reduced lung capacity. We knew for certain that Thomas would be harmed if we kept him home, and we didn't know what the outcome would be were he to contract COVID. Choosing between the mental, behavioral, and physical health of your family is a terrible decision no family should have to make. Now we're discussing sending children back to in-person learning during an ongoing pandemic with only limited precautions. The most basic mitigation measure the school district has currently chosen not to deploy is universal masking. Every reputable study done on the matter shows that having everyone wear a mask significantly reduces the spread of COVID-19. Ultimately, our discussion of masking isn't really about parent choice. It's about keeping our kids in person, in school. I think we all agree this is the best thing for every student, regardless of ability, need, or health. Masking significantly reduces transmission of COVID-19 virus. Our school district had great success last year exercising multiple mitigation measures in conjunction, including mask wearing.
Time.
The pandemic rages on. Why wouldn't we do everything in our power to keep our kids safe, healthy, and
Time.
in school? Thank you.
Kimberly Schumann.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Schumann, and I would like to start by saying thank you to the board to let me speak today. I would like to start off by saying that I love our school district. I'm very much looking forward to getting back into the buildings and once again being involved in all the activities that my children have. I would love to once again have a normal school year, but we have to do it with caution and guidance from those who are looking out for our health. I have been an employee at Mercy St. Louis for over 20 years. 17 of those have been a nurse in the mother-baby department. I talk to countless pediatricians every day and am able to get their advice on the growing COVID concerns in our area. Every pediatrician that I have talked to recently is extremely worried about this upcoming school year and the Delta variant that is playing in our area. I spoke directly to Dr. Ganager, a Washington University pediatrician whose practice is made up of 50% Jefferson County kids, and her concern is keeping students in the school building. She says, kids need in-person school. The best way to keep kids in school is by protecting them against illness. Masks are the best way to protect our most vulnerable members of society, especially the ones not yet eligible for vaccine. Additionally, the largest increase of age group hospitalization in the last 2 weeks has been in the 0 to 9-year-olds. We can no longer say that COVID doesn't affect children. All over the country, more and more kids are getting sick enough to be hospitalized. We have an obligation to protect children and their well-being. We know that there are several steps to help mitigate the risk of COVID. Masking and vaccinating those eligible, along with hand hygiene, social distancing, and staying home and sick, are vital to keeping kids healthy. When the Delta variant presented itself mid-summer, the dynamics of COVID changed. Mercy Children's Hospital confirms at the end of June, COVID was almost non-existent for our kids. By the beginning of August, those numbers shot up to over 300 lab-confirmed cases. For Dr. Monaco, a pediatric hospitalist at Mercy St. Louis, our COVID rates have increased by 300% by June. 20% of COVID patients are now kids. Delta is a completely different ballgame. I was able to speak to another Mercy pediatrician that has offices in South County and in northern Jefferson County. She says that she has parents bring in their children with obvious respiratory symptoms, but then refuse a COVID test because they don't want their child to have to quarantine. She says this is a huge health concern for the entire community. Dr. Nicastro is a Mercy pediatrician who has raised her concerns regarding children's mental health. She says, of the patients I have taken care of over the past year for their anxiety, depression, or other mental health struggles, a vast majority were either teens stuck at home doing virtual or kids with immunosuppressed family members that spent their year worrying about said person getting COVID. I did not have any patients tell me that their mask caused problems. Perhaps for some, the mask is a reminder of the current dangerous illness lurking, but taking the mask away doesn't remove that danger, it magnifies it. Furthermore, having consistent education in person, then quarantine at home, then back into person, and the whole school goes home puts even more stress on children. There's a simple solution to keep quarantine numbers and positive cases down. Dr. Frigo and the board put in place the safeguards given to us by the AAP, CDC, the Jefferson County Health Department, and DESA, and mandate masks. Take an active role in keeping our students, staff, and community healthy.
Time.
Kathy O'Connor.
Good evening, Fox C-6 Board of Education, staff, and community. My name is Kathy O'Connor, and I am a parent of 2 Fox graduates, a special education teacher, and the president of Fox C-6 CTA, Community Teachers Association. I am here for 2 reasons. 1, to yield the results of a survey sent out to the CTA members, which you all have a copy, and asking, do you agree with the mask recommended protocol for the Fox C-6 school district? 68.5% of the teachers that voted said, yes, I agree with the mask recommended protocol. 31.5% said, no, I do not agree. The second reason that I am here is to speak on a personal level about why I support the current mask mitigation plan for the Fox School District. I also said I would be a voice for others in the community who feel the same as I do. I want to first start off by saying thank you to Dr. Forgo and the board and the entire board for working tirelessly answering emails, phone calls, and meeting in person regarding the mitigation plan. From the time I heard the news that we have a choice to wear a mask or not, I have been very thankful for the opportunity to choose for myself what is best for me. Dr. Forgo said, "The district hopes to give students, staff members, and families as normal of a school experience as possible, and this is what I want. And I want to be able to choose it for myself. My choice. No one can make a choice for me that I don't want for myself. As a special education teacher to amazing special ed kids, it is my job to provide accommodations to those who can't otherwise choose for themselves with their parental support, or do not have a choice of wearing a mask due to severe sensory concerns. My kids do not wear a mask because they don't want to. They don't wear a mask because they simply can't, and I support them. How are we supposed to teach kids to value their own opinion when adults around them do not model how this is done? In order to create unity, we must value and respect others and just be kind. Just because someone's opinion differs from yours does not make them wrong. I disagree with a lot of people on this issue. However, it does not mean that I dislike you or that I am mad at you. It just means that, like you, I have my own opinion, and I will not show you
30 seconds.
disrespect because we have different opinions. As said best by a fellow community member, during these divisive times, I can't think of a more courageous and brave thing to do than to teach our kids to respect other people's opinions and the right to make decisions for themselves. Surely we've all seen our current political climate and how the lack of respect has created division. If we hope to create unity, we as adults have to set the same example and respect differing opinions. But what is not right is for us to be stripped of this freedom of choice. I ask that you continue to keep the mitigation plan in place as said previously.
Next speaker is Aaron Hine.
Good evening. I want to first say thank you to Dr. Forgo and the board for recognizing the immense importance of allowing for parental choice. I want to make this perfectly clear. We want everyone in this room to make their own decisions when it comes to the health and safety of themselves and their children. If you prefer your child to wear a mask, that's your decision and we respect that. Understand, we expect the same level of respect for our decision. Public health does not start and end with COVID. Let me say that again. Public health does not start and end with COVID. All of you know our youth are vastly unaffected by this virus. I have presented countless peer-reviewed studies and that have all concluded the same. Children present nearly zero risk of severe outcomes related to COVID. Even the highly revered CDC states children 0 to 19 have a 0.001% chance of falling ill to COVID, and colorful graphs and overinflated percentages do not nor will ever change that. So where is the health emergency? I'll tell you where. Depression, anxiety, isolation, suicide, overdose, hypercapnia. As a parent, I, and I alone, reserve the right to make decisions involving the health of my child. I believe the health effects of prolonged forced mask wearing far outweigh the symptoms of COVID or any variant thereof. I choose fresh air. I choose to support a healthy and positive mental, physical, and emotional environment for my child. I support and choose parental choice. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joe President.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board and Superintendent Dr. Fregeau. As a lifelong tax-paying member of the Fox C-6 community, a parent of 3 children who attend our schools, and a longtime staff member at Seckman High School, I came before you and spoke at the previous board meeting on August 3rd to urge you to maintain the masks optional policy. Tonight, I'm here to say 2 things. First, thank you, and second, stand strong. Thank you, I can't say it enough. Thank you, Dr. Fregeau, for making the right decision by keeping masks optional. In doing so, you uphold the individual rights of all families, students, and staff to make their own health care choices. And we've got to remember, that's precisely what masking is. It is a personal health care choice. And because it is a personal health care choice, and as each person has complete sovereignty over their bodies, anyone who would feel safer wearing a mask can and should be able to do so. But on the other side of that same coin, any families who feel that masking is not the best choice for their children have the absolute fundamental right to choose not to wear one. Now that I've offered my thanks, I want to urge you to stand firm on this decision. And I know that since announcing the district's COVID plan, you guys have been bombarded with messages and comments from all sides, from those of us who support it, and from the concerned families and staff members who want masks to be mandatory for all. And I understand and I empathize with these families because I know that they, just like me and all of us here, were just trying to do what we think is best for our children. And that's what you're trying to do too in crafting this COVID policy. And I'd like to mention that the school district is already basing its policy on CDC guidelines by recommending that people wear masks and distance. But keeping masks optional and ensuring that each family can weigh their own risks and make the choice that is best suited to their situation really is truly the only fair and equitable solution to this issue. No one is telling families that they cannot wear masks to school, and no one can force someone to wear a mask if they choose not to. And I would argue that the majority of the Fox C-6 community agrees with this sentiment and wholeheartedly supports the COVID policy as it currently stands. I'd like to close my comments tonight with a final thought. We constantly hear of recommendations by the CDC, the WHO, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the County Health Department, and we're constantly given COVID data and color-coded status levels, but recommendations and data are just that. They are recommendations and data. They are not laws. They cannot require anyone to do anything. They exist only for us to utilize in our own decision-making process so that each individual family can take the course of action that is right for them. It is we as parents and no one else that decide what is best for our children when it comes to masking at school, because they are our children and it is our choice. Thank you for your time.
April, do we have any more time?
We do not.
We do not have any more time. All right. All right, we're moving on to our next item, which is 3.3, Superintendents Report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to cover a few things for people this evening. I want to thank our parents who have begun registering online or in person at our elementary, middle, and high schools. We really appreciate the effort you do to get your kids signed up, and so we can plan appropriately to serve them properly in each building. We have started our new teacher orientation this week. I met with 35 new teachers Monday. They're going through 3 days of training, and we're real excited to have these new teachers to work with our kids come next week. And as everybody knows, we start school next week, August 25th. We're very excited to have kids in the building 5 days a week to start for this school year. I also want to point out April Meckel, a new board member, has completed her board certified training through MSBA, so congratulations on her for doing that. As Ms. Hargis mentioned earlier, I want to apologize as well. I've received hundreds and hundreds of emails, numerous phone calls, and I have not met the mark on responding to all those. I have high expectations for myself, and I did not meet my expectations. So I want you to know I've read your emails, but if I didn't respond, that's on me. But I just want to apologize for those of you who took the time to craft an email and then I wasn't able to respond. I've also met with people, I've done some phone calls, but I know I haven't reached out to everybody that reached out to me, and I apologize for that. All right, so as everybody knows, the COVID mitigation plan was released on Friday, August 6th, and we've received tons of information from our parents and community members since that plan was released. And several things have happened since then that impact that decision and impact that plan and how we go about instituting that type of plan. A couple of the speakers mentioned House Bill 271. On August 11th, I was part of a regional superintendent meeting where our state association made us aware of this bill, House Bill 271, that was implemented this summer and signed by the governor and had an emergency clause, so that means it was in effect immediately. And what that does, it puts in certain protocols that need to take place anytime a public health order is issued by a political subdivision. And if that political subdivision makes a decision that directly or indirectly closes, partially closes, or places restrictions on the opening of opening of place or access to businesses, churches, or schools, or other places of gathering or assembly for a period of time longer than 30 calendar days in a 180-day period, I just don't want to missay it, such orders may be extended more than once upon a majority vote of the political subdivision's governing body. So we have been in council with our attorney, and by all means, we want to comply with any state statute that's been implemented. And so as you know, the plan is on the agenda to vote on tonight, and we will follow the guidelines of the statute, and we'll be bringing this forward within every 30 calendar days for reconsideration. So I want everyone to know that every 30 calendar days, we will be bringing the COVID mitigation plan forward for renewal, adjustment, or whatever it ends up being. So that was August 11th. On August 12th, the Jefferson County Health Department sent out new guidance. Prior to that, the Health Department had refrained from issuing a requirement for masks. However, last week on the 12th, they issued guidance clearly stating that they recommend requiring masks. So that changed all since we put out our plan on August 6th, made aware of a new state statute and new Jefferson County Health Department guidance. In addition, I'd like to talk about a couple charts from the Jefferson County Health Department regarding COVID in our region. So the first chart you see is a 7-day rolling average since August of last year for daily cases for kids in grade levels that are in ages to attend school. And you can see it's gone, there's been some tremendous peaks throughout this time, and at the right side of that chart you see where we're at now, and we are basically back to where we were when we started school last year as far as the average number of daily cases for kids that are school age. Next slide, sir. Here you see by zip code the number of active cases total, and then the orange number is what's in place right now as far as active cases. And these zip codes, as you can see, the Fox School District has some of the highest rates of COVID for school-age children in Jefferson County. In fact, we make up over half of all the cases in Jefferson County. Next slide, please. And then as you see here, throughout this time, school-age children are now making up a little over 14% of all COVID cases in Jefferson County. So we have data that puts us back where we were last year in August as far as average daily case rate. Our zip codes are some of the highest rates, well, they are the highest rates in Jefferson County for Fox School District and it is impacting school-age children at the rate of 14% of all the cases. So I wanted to make sure everybody had that information before we move on into the agenda to deal with the business items as we move forward. So turn it back over.
Well, okay. The next item is 4.1, the COVID mitigation plan for the school year of 2021-2022. We need to have a discussion about, so we get some clarity to the mitigation plan, and the discussion will be around masks, quarantine, sports, and any other issue that the board member feels that we need to discuss. All right, so I'm going to open the floor for discussion.
I just want to make a statement. First of all, I want to really commend Judy Smith for her ability to respond to all those emails, folks. That was an incredible task to complete, and she did a great job of it. You know, I've read many of your emails from all the parents and a lot of stakeholders, and I believe that in each email, people sincerely expressed their legitimate concerns. And there weren't one email that did not have a legitimate concern in there. For the most part, we all agree that we want our kids in school full time, and we want to keep them in school throughout the school year without interruption. You know, every day parents make personal decisions about what activities they want their children to participate in. They weigh the benefit of the activity against the risk. When you're signing your kids up for soccer or football or wrestling, there is the possibility that they may get injured. As the parent, you are personally assuming those risks for your children. As a member of the Board of Education, I'm not making decisions just for my own children. I'm making it for the parents of 11,000 students. As the Board of Education, our first obligation to families is to provide a safe and secure learning environment for all our students. When making those decisions, we must use the best information we have from those authorities who have expertise in the area that is under consideration. In the case of COVID-19, in the case of the COVID-19 mitigation plan, it's the local and national health authorities. So as we begin to discuss what we want to do, I feel like we need to keep that information, it needs to be considered.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right. I think that probably our first, I would like more information about sports and how the sports are going to be handled this year versus how we handled them last year. So Tammy,
Yes.
Dr. Cardona, could you come forward and speak to us about how we handled sports last year when we were in the red, and so we can get some ideas of what we can do?
Yes, so last year when we started school, we were in the red, and sports at that time, we started out with no spectators, and then we slowly opened that up, and we moved to 2 spectators per participant. So for, let's take football, for instance, that was 2 for the football player. We also included cheerleaders, POMs, band, so that was everybody. And then we set that up according to the color levels by the health department. And that really was something that most Jefferson County schools started with, and then everybody kind of went on their own route after that. I did today reach out to other school districts to see what everybody was doing and talked with the athletic directors. And at this point, districts that have mask optional, it will be mask optional at sporting events, and it will be open to anybody. And then if masks are mandatory for school, then inside activities, which right now would be for athletes would be volleyball, mask would be required indoors. Outdoors, we would not require masks.
Okay. All right.
Are you saying that the team itself has to be masked?
No, Misha and the coaches really do not feel that that is in the best health interest of students as they're participating. Now, depending on the sports, Some of them will not have will have masks if they're sitting on the bench waiting to play, but while they're participating, they will not be wearing masks. No.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for clarity on that?
Tammy, you know, I think it's important to make clear that when students participate in sports, that's an extracurricular activity, and the parents have a choice of whether their child is going to participate in that activity or not.
Correct.
It's not required. Unlike school, that's compulsory. When kids come to school, they have to come to school because the law says so.
If my comment would be not just as I understand the guidelines and recommendations, the recommendations for requiring masks pertain to indoor activities, so inside school but not outdoors. Is that understanding correct, Dr. Forgo? Am I?
The guidelines that have been put out, yes.
So the masking is being recommended for indoor activities, not outdoor, correct?
Right. Outdoors, it's optional.
And then
CDC, Jefferson County as well.
The other thing that I understand is if student or staff are masked and there's been an exposure, then there's no requirement, as long as they're not showing symptoms, there's no requirement that they be excluded from school for a period of time. Is my understanding correct on that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, go ahead, Michelle. Well, I was just going to say, who are we to say that the immune-compromised health is more, that the immune-compromised health is more important than those suffering from mental health due to COVID? The immune-compromised, no. You know, they're easy to identify, but those students suffering from mental health, they're not. So we don't have those numbers. And honestly, and that's why I believe it's a parent's choice to mask or not mask their child. However, the CDC has tied our hands. And I don't know the repercussions of going against the CDC and not obeying the quarantine regulations that they put out. But they say that if they're both masked, they don't have to quarantine. And our job is to keep kids in school. So I don't know what other step to take. I don't care if my kids wear a mask or not. I really don't. But I don't know what to do with that piece of information either, and I'm just being honest.
Okay. I appreciate that.
What if, I mean, I know we won't, but what if, I would like to look into that information as to what happens if we say we only quarantine those without mask instead of, so I'm asking a question. And on a side note, you know, we say that when we unmask our kids, we think that it's a free-for-all at school. The elementaries, from what I understand, work in a pod system, meaning they are grouped with kids and all day long. And they sit together, they go to the bathroom together, 4 to 6 at a time. When they eat lunch together, they take their mask off, and so they're automatically exposed in that little group. So what difference does it make if they're exposed in reading versus lunch? I don't know if every elementary school does that, but I know they do it to help with contact tracing to make it a little easier. So I don't know if we know that as a board. It's just something to take into consideration. So I'm willing to talk about, you know, a compromise or something, but I will not vote to mask our children if there is not a hope or a plan to unmask them.
I appreciate your thoughts, April. Michelle, did you have something to say?
I do, and I guess the first thing I want to say is to address the mental health piece that people are bringing up, and I don't see the connection between putting a mask on a child and their mental health. I don't think that if you mask them, it's mental health. I'll tell you why. For 21 years, I've been a teacher, and last year I worked in a classroom and we wore masks. And I don't think that mask, what it did was I couldn't see their smile, but then they would have to, verbally say hello and stuff like that. I miss their smile. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think it's bad to say that because we mask our kids, we're not addressing the mental health.
Order.
The mitigation measures and the consideration of doing a mask mandate with the COVID or with the quarantine guidelines, that if your kid is quarantined and has to stay home for 10 days and then comes back and gets exposed again and have to stay home for 10 days, that's what's going to mess with your child's mental health. So if we have everyone in the building, students and staff, masked, then there's going to be a lower number of quarantines, and it's we're all in this together. And last year we were all in this together. And
Order.
We were all in this together and we worked together.
Order.
No, well, that's
why we're here to discuss this. Order. All right, go ahead, Michelle. We're listening.
The kids have to wear the mask on the bus. It's a federal guideline. So
that is a federal guideline.
It is a federal guideline. I don't know.
Don't engage.
We have to have order in order to have discussion, to make a determination about what we want to do for the safety of our children. You need to stop so that we can discuss this. We have let you speak. We've read your emails. No, we've read your emails. You have spoke. We've heard you speak all year long. So now we're going to move along so that we can have our discussion about this. All right, Michelle, I understand your point of view. The quarantine, I'm a former teacher. I taught in this district for 30 years. The quarantining of the students last year was so hard on them. They needed to be in school. And right now, we have the way the quarantine will work. If Sally has a mask on and Trudy doesn't have a mask on and she comes down with it, Sally will have to quarantine. So we're going to have the same issues with students missing, and our students have big gaps in their learning. We've got to figure out how we can get them caught up. Because last year with the hybrid and with the quarantining, they fell behind. And I can speak, as a grandmother that had virtual children, 3 different grade levels. And God bless those teachers. They did the best that they could in a really hard situation. But my 3 are behind, and I'm a teacher, and I worked as hard as I could to keep them caught up. And luckily, I know some of the curriculum to help them, but there was a lot of parents out there that didn't have that, and their children are coming in behind. So we've got to figure out this year what we can do to bring those students up. If mask keeps kids in school, then that's what we need to do. I want them in school 5 days a week.
Ms. Hargis? Ms. Hargis? My main comment would really, in addition to the things that you and everybody's spoken about, My concern is, as Jim spoke to the safety of the students, you know, I worked in the district for a number of years, first as a teacher and then in administration, and my area was special services. And I can tell you there were situations where students had a disability due to something that happened during birth, whatever, but there were other situations where children became disabled because of events that occurred in their life. And to me, you know, one of the things I thought to myself is I'm glad that we had programs to support kids, because what I learned as that happened, unfortunately, several different times in my 24 years with the district, anybody's kid can become disabled anytime for any reason. And I'm glad we're here to serve them, but I really don't wish that on anyone. And so for me, one of the issues is the safety regarding COVID. We don't know all the implications of what can occur when kids get COVID. And I do know, personally, I've had 3 adult friends die from COVID in the past 2 years. I will also say that I know people who have had COVID and recovered, but they have health issues that they didn't have previously. And I would hate, excuse me, I have the floor. Excuse me, I'm speaking and I will wait till you're done. This is, the thing that Crystal asked it from the beginning is that we be respectful to each other, and I'm trying to do that. What I'd say is the most important thing to me is if there's one student that as a result of being exposed dies or has a huge consequence to their physical health, that's not okay with me. So in my opinion, if masks will help mitigate the exposure, then I believe that's what we should do. Dr. Forgo has explained we'll look at that every 30 days. Maybe part of the plan should be that we look at making it conditional initially, that if the county is in red or orange, that's when we should mandate masks.
Well, I even asked that perhaps we look at our own internal data instead of going by all of Jefferson County. Jefferson County is 226,000 people, and we're talking about our students and staff. If there are 0 COVID cases in a building, I believe that we should have that option.
Carol, you've sat very quietly, taking this all in, I'm sure. Do you have anything to say?
I'm just going to say a couple things. I can understand both sides of this situation. Nobody wants to wear a mask. I mean, let's put it out there. Nobody wants to wear a mask. But Mr. Shalhoub indicated this Board of Education that you elected to take care of your kids, are responsible for the safety of 11,500 kids. And if it is, excuse me, please. Yes. I'm not going to say too much more, but we are responsible for 11,500. We are responsible for your children. And do you, excuse me, please. We allowed you to speak when you signed up.
Okay. Order.
We allowed you to speak when you signed up, so please give us the courtesy of listening to our side of the story. We can't do that, sorry. There is a policy in effect with the school board that 30 minutes of patron comments, and we have to follow that policy. We have had speakers, we have had speakers periodically come in and talk to us about their side and their viewpoint, so we haven't stopped listening. But please give us the opportunity to do what you elected us to do. Thank you.
So
Okay.
we need to work out a plan. We need to work on some details.
All right. All right, so we're going to move on and we're going to talk a little bit about what we would like as individuals in the plan. And I will go ahead and start. I would like to see that we wear masks while we are in the red and orange. And then in 30 days, we reassess this, and when we're in the yellow, then it's more safe. The numbers are going down. That's my point of view. Now, I have something to say. I was a teacher, and I trained the students for tornadoes. I trained them what to do in a fire. I did something I never thought I would have to do in my career, and that is to train students for an active shooter. I never thought in all of my days that I would have to do that, and how I would protect the children. Now, in my mind, I had, you play it out, what would happen. And those people that know that I've had their children in the past, and it's thousands, know that I cared and loved their child in my classroom with all my heart, and I would take care of them. And it's a hard decision when you're thinking about an active shooter in the classroom. But I know with all my heart, if that gun was being pointed at one of my babies, I would throw myself in front of them to protect them. And that is how I feel about this virus. I would protect them with my life, if I could. So April, I know you were looking for some type of a compromise. I know that you want us to look at individual, like our district. It's just that I don't know how we would go about getting those numbers, what we would look at to be able to do that.
So if you start the first 2 weeks with masks, because we've been living our best life over the summer and we all have these large circles. But now when we come back into school, we can mask for 2 weeks and reform different circles, and then we can go based upon numbers. That's the compromise I'm asking. We can look at if 2% of the building is quarantine or infected, that we can put back masks. I don't know. Obviously, we all have opinions, but I'm looking for a compromise at this moment.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
you know, we went through an entire school year last year, and many of the kids were able to spend some time in school the entire time. When we got to the end of the school year, we had pushed the virus down to the point to where we were in the yellow. At that point, we made a decision to make the mask optional for our summer school. And that worked out well. No one ever believed that we'd be dealing with a new virus at this particular point in time.
It's on its way.
Okay. Paul, is it possible for the district to have its own red and yellow?
We can look into that. I can't say we can have that ready to roll first day of school, but
Right.
I can talk to our folks and see how we might go about tracking that and provide.
I mean, we tracked our COVID cases by building last year, am I not right? And then if it reached 5%, then they shut down. Now I understand that putting a percentage on a building is really not the best way to go, because you could reach 5% with staff in the building that are only there once a week, and then you have to shut down. So I understand that that's why it says to be determined best by the district. Those are my thoughts.
Well,
All right.
The other factor that we have to consider is our nurses did a lot of this work previously, but now we're going to have a building full of kids. And they weren't full of kids before, so I don't want to tell you that something can happen, and I haven't had a chance to talk to my team, but we can look at creating internal metrics as far as COVID rates in buildings.
You could do it by district, you could do it by elementaries, you could do it by high school. I mean, there's lots of ways you can vet it out. But I don't know how everyone else feels. I'm just one voice.
Well, but the issue is we have to make a decision tonight.
Right.
So, and I think if we keep in mind that this is, if we look at requiring masks for students and staff, it would only be inside buildings, not outside.
Right. Okay.
And again, since we, as Dr. Forgo
Order, I
explained-
can't hear her.
As Dr. Forgo explained with House Bill 271, we'd be revisiting the issue in 30 days, 30 calendar days. So it's not something that we're putting in place for the entire year.
Okay. All right. So, April, if we move forward with a motion now, and then Dr. Forgo looks at something in 30 days, they have another plan in place that could look at high school. I don't want to wear masks. I hate those masks. But I have to protect the kids. So, what do you think of something like that?
I don't know if I want to do 30 days, honestly.
Okay. Well, I think that it looks like the majority of the board. Go ahead, Jim.
I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Education, and I would like the respect of the audience.
Wait, Jim, we need to amend the mitigation
I
plan.
can assure you I've earned the right to be up here and to address you, and you have,
Okay, Jim.
Don't engage.
and you have,
Gavel.
should have the courtesy to listen. I move that the Board of Education.
Oh, wait a minute, Jim. We need to make a motion to amend the mitigation plan first.
Right, I think he's doing.
No.
That's okay.
I think that's what he's doing.
I move to revise, that the Board of Education revises the COVID mitigation measures for the 21-22 school year as proposed by the district administration to include a mask requirement for all inside of district buildings or attending a district event, including student, staff, visitors, for any period of time when Jefferson County is in a red or orange indicator status for COVID-19 warning system, as identified by the Jefferson County Health Department, to be implemented by district administration.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second, Chamberlain.
Chamberlain, second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Me, aye.
Motion carries.
I further move.
Order.
I further move.
Order.
I further move.
Yes. Yes.
Folks,
Could you please escort
yes,
them out?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I move that the Board of Education adopts the revised COVID mitigation measures for the 21-22 school year as proposed by the district administration and revised by the prior motion of the Board of Education to be implemented by district administration.
Okay. All right. Jim made a motion. Is there another motion that Jim just made?
We have
We need a
motion,
second.
we need a second.
We got a second. Michelle seconded it. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor again?
I can't hear, so I don't know what's being said.
Okay.
You want me to read it again?
We just point to it.
It's the very bottom. Basically, what we're doing is adopting the plan as amended.
Yeah, now we're adopting it.
Excuse me, Ms. Hargis,
Do you
has
want me to
that
repeat
motion
it?
been seconded?
Do you need him to repeat it, April?
Just let me read it.
Huh?
I'm just going to read it for myself. Just give me a second.
Yes, we are.
Madam President, was that motion seconded yet? Did you second it? No.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
We have a motion and a second, right?
I raised
Michelle
my
did the
hand
second.
for the second one, but
You did the second on that, Vicki?
Yes.
Vicki did.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All right. All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes. Yes. Opposed?
Aye.
Are you opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, motion carries. All right, moving on to the next item.
You want me to get
Okay. We're moving on to 4.2, the payment of bills. I need a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Motion Chamberlain?
I need a second.
Who seconded?
Who seconded it? Can you hear me?
Second. I don't know if someone did, but I will. For the
Okay.
bills.
Okay.
The bills?
Yes, we're moving on. All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Vicki and Michelle, can you hear me over there? Can you guys hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
I
me?
can, yeah.
Okay. I'm getting an echo. All right. The next item is 4.3, the renewal of a commercial fleet insurance. All right. And John, are you going to speak to that? Okay.
Hey, John, can you grab the other mic?
Yes, if they're both masked, you don't have to quarantine.
Yeah, if they're both. No
As long as they don't
quarantine.
show symptoms, that's what the CDC says.
Unless they're symptomatic.
And that's what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So you have in front of you the information from the district's commercial fleet insurance policy renewal. It renews September the 1st, 2021. Auto Owners Insurance Company came with the lowest bid of $181,588. They are the current provider of our insurance. So I would ask for approval of the renewal with Auto Owners Insurance.
I make a motion to approve it as presented.
I second it.
Okay, Carol seconded it. All right, we have a motion on a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 4.4, ABBCO Service Agreement Amendment. All right, is it, John, you're going to address that also?
Yeah, so if you remember, the board approved an agreement with ABCO back in January to provide supplementary custodial services, and with the number of staff that we are currently short, ABCO has provided an amendment to our original agreement that would provide services to clean 8 buildings, and those 8 are listed for $62,216 per month. So I am asking the board to approve that agreement, the amendment to that agreement.
Ms. Hargis, I have a question for Mr.
Sure,
Stewart.
go ahead.
John, how many custodians are we short as of now to start school?
Right now, we are 15 short.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
15.
Okay. And so I know we used these services last year. Do you have any idea how many we used from this company last year?
We used them for that initial week in January when the agreement was approved. And then I think we used them for another day or two here or there, but it was not an extensive use.
So, just to be clear, if we hire more custodians at our job fair, for instance, is it a possibility that we won't be using these people but just a short period of time? I bet we still have to pay the initial fee.
So it's that amount per month. Okay, and so, and we're talking about services for 8 buildings. That's roughly half of our buildings. I don't think we're going to hire enough people at the job fair to staff half of our buildings. So we can, as we hire people, and we are anticipating more vacancies throughout the year. There's turnover. It happens. So we anticipate that we're going to be needing these services through most, if not all of the year, regardless. If we are able to staff up in the custodial area, I think there's some other things that we can do as far as deeper cleaning and the like. Right now, this is basically, half our buildings that won't be staffed enough with custodians. And also, this amount, I just want to remind everybody, involves a supervisor for their people.
Thank you.
John, I'm not sure if you'd address this, because this is a huge mitigation thing. Last year, we were short on custodians to clean our buildings. If you hire this number, are we going to be short still?
To staff for 8 buildings, we will not be short.
Okay.
And as we hire, then we'll be staffing up and, again, still not be short.
Okay. So technically, are we going to need more custodians to help clean our buildings because of all the mitigation factors? Is this just staffing at our minimum that we've always had in the past?
So it covers what we normally do and allows us a few floaters that we can, fill for folks out on vacation or sick leave, those types of things. It does not staff us up to the level that the board approved at the beginning of the year last year, an extra, I think it was 22 positions for the extra cleaning that was going to be going on. We were never able to fill those positions.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? Yeah. Crystal,
All right. Wait a minute before you move on. Patrons, if you're going to have your side conversations, we're still trying to run our board meeting. Could you please move it out to the lobby so that we could hear, so that we are making good, informed decisions? Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Vicki.
Mr. Stewart, I know that Dr. Forgo had mentioned this at the last board meeting, and I know we've had conversations about this for some time, about the classified salary schedules, looking at revising those because we know that they're in the lower range. And I think the salary schedule, especially for custodians, is rather low, starting salary being at $12 an hour, and basically, if you drive in the community, you can get a fast food job or a job at Walmart and make $15 starting. So I would hope that if we can expedite that process and you can bring us salary schedules that are adjusted, maybe we would be able to hire and retain custodians and not have to contract out. And to me, that would be the goal.
Yes, we've been working on that. We have several different versions together. We have to meet together on that. But
So
yes.
I am very interested in seeing that happen because
I would think we should be able to have something in the second
guess
meeting
I know-
in September.
I
Yes.
know how this works with contracting out, and basically somehow they're able to get people, and they're not paying them a really high salary either, and they're able to get them, so we should be able to do that too. So I don't know if there's other circumstances surrounding what's going on in the buildings. Maybe COVID impacted it, but that would be phenomenal if we could get that done, and so that we don't have to do this in the future.
Absolutely. Yep, we're working on that.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none. I need a motion.
Motion, Chamberlain?
Second, Shalhoub.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is 4.5, the band equipment lease, and Paul, John, you're going to speak about that?
Yes. So you have in front of you an agreement with Nottleman Music Company to have a 3-year lease for an intermediate baritone saxophone. The cost is $1,513.75 per year. So the original cost of the equipment to purchase it outright is a little less than that. The instructor mentioned that because I asked him if, would you rather just purchase this all in 1 year instead of pay it over 3 years? And he mentioned that he would be able to get more newer instruments in his students' hands if he stretched this out over 3 years. So I'm asking the board to approve this lease agreement with Nottleman Music Company.
John, I have a question. Is there like a rotation, or maybe Tammy could answer this question? Because the last few board meetings, we've approved some things for the Seckman Band, and I was just wondering if there's Fox Band also gets what Seckman does, or?
So they've each got budget dollars allocated to them.
Okay.
For their instruments, yes.
And I guess the reason this one's coming to the board is because it's over.
Because it's a lease agreement and needs a formal board signature to it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second, Shalhoub.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Next
you.
item is 4.6, the memorandum of understanding with Oasis Tutoring, and I believe, Randy, you're going to speak to that?
Yes, we're asking the board for a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for Oasis Tutoring, which is a program that trains older adults to tutor kindergarten through 3rd grade students using reading and language development activities specifically designed for Oasis by reading professionals.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. And Carol's second. All right, any discussion? I just want to say, Randy, I'm so excited to see that we're going to be able to have Oasis back in the buildings this year.
Yeah, we missed them last year for sure.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Still Randy.
Okay, 4.7. The Head Start program renewal for Jefferson Franklin Community Action Corporation.
Yes, we cooperate with Head Start for Jefferson County, and they have some classroom space that use for us. And so we partner with them, like I said, and it provides a layer of preschool instruction for the kids in our community that qualify. And so I'm asking the board to approve the Head Start program renewal with the Jefferson County Franklin Action Corporation for 21-22 school year.
Okay. Need a motion?
Motion?
Chamberlain.
Second.
Vicki, second. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item is for our contact tracers, the pay scale. Kelly, you want to speak to that, please?
Yes, the district is currently working to hire contact tracers for the upcoming school year. And as this is a new position for the district, we need to set a pay scale. So we're asking that the board approve the attached pay scale for the contact tracer position, which we believe will be very competitive in helping us hire.
Kelly, do you mind if I ask a question? You don't mind I ask a question?
No, you
Okay.
can go ahead.
The health department said that they were going to assign us someone, but are they having trouble filling that position?
I can help with it. That's kind of fallen through at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We met with the county council today, and what they're going to look at, they're not guaranteeing us anything, but they're looking at allocating some of the county's federal funds to each district to help mitigate the costs of contact tracing, because the districts are going to end up having to do it.
Okay, and do we know how many we want to hire?
Right now, we were looking at 2, and that could vary if we end up needing more.
Sure.
So Kelly, the nurses are going to still need to help with that also then?
So they'll assist with the process at the beginning and getting the information to these individuals. And then from that point, the contact tracers will do all the contacting of all the different people and sharing the information about exposure and things like that. So it's just the beginning when we're notified of a case.
Okay. And real quick, the dashboard, we are going to use the dashboard again this year, correct?
Well, yes, the current dashboard just shows positive cases. We've had some feedback, and we're going to get together as a team Monday and talk about going back to what we had last year.
Okay.
We've trimmed it back, but we're getting some feedback. People want it to be like it was last year. So
Yeah,
we will still have a dashboard, and it's currently just positive cases among students and staff by building.
Okay. I know that a lot of parents depended on looking at that,
Yeah,
and
so-
staff too. They used it a lot last year.
So we're going to revisit that Monday.
Okay. All right. I need a motion to adopt the attached pay scale for the position of the contact tracers.
Motion, Chamberlain?
Second, Yount.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? And motion carries. The following item is 4.9, the Axle Transportation Service Agreement. I have Randy down.
Randy's.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.
All right, you're all in black, you kind of blend in down there.
Yeah. So we're asking for the board for a motion to approve the Axle Transportation Service Agreement as presented. This is to help transport our McKinney-Vento students.
All right. All right, I need a motion.
Make a motion. We approve as presented.
Second. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Chamberlain, second. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion?
Is this a new company? I don't recognize this name.
No, it's not. We've used them in the past. They may have gone by a different name. I don't know, but we've partnered with them in the past.
Will they be, how does the new the bus we bought for the homeless children work with this?
Say that again. Say your question again, Ms. Meckel, sorry.
I'm just making sure, how does the bus we bought, the bus we are getting for the homeless children, how does that work with this, or does it not?
Yeah, typically in the bus, we will run that inside inside the school district, or to places that are, like if you had like a collection of students that you could deliver on the bus.
So this is for more individual?
Yes, this would be individuals and families typically, and some of these cabs or cars can go, pretty far out, 30 minutes out, which is what, definitely why we depend on them.
Gotcha.
Randy, if I understand the law correctly, on our homeless students, they may not live in the district, but they they attended our school, and then they moved out of the district because they became homeless.
Correct.
And they can still receive our services because we want to keep the child as stable as we can. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Provides stability for the family that's obviously going through, you know, some items that are unpleasant. It keeps the kids in the school. And so a lot of times we will try to determine, is that the best route? Like if they go an hour and a half away, of course, it might not be, you know, in the best interest of the kiddo to, you know, stay with our school district. But that's exactly the intent of McKinney-Vento.
Okay. All right. Did I have a motion and a second on that already?
We have a
I
motion.
think so.
We have a-
You do?
Hanson motion, Chamberlain second.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the donations, 4.10, the donations to the Fox C-6 district. Walmart made a donation to the district of $852.20. It looks like it was materials, potting soil, containers, and seed starters. And then we also have an motion to Clyde Hamrick Elementary of $330 by Andrew Poston from the State Farm. I want to thank both those organizations for making those donations. Would you like to speak to that, Paul?
Yes, absolutely. Just wonderful folks at Walmart to help support our programming. A wonderful donation, as Vice President Hargis said, of $852.20. And then Andrew Poston, a specific donation to Clyde Hamrick Elementary to support their programming. And I've been told that Mr. Poston is a regular donor to the district, so we really appreciate his support as well. So thanks to Walmart in Arnold and Andrew Poston for their support of our kids. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, I need a motion to accept the donation.
Motion to accept donations.
Carol?
Second.
April. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is 5.1, the financial report.
So you have in front of you the familiar bar graph, and the color of the year for the bar graph is brown. I don't select these colors, they come from Excel. So anyway, you'll see the first column there. July, our ending fund balance was $21.2 million. That is the highest July balance since 2013-14. So it's been 8 years since we've had a higher fund balance than that. So that's good news for the district. And I think we can give thanks to our ending fund balance in June 30 being what it was. So that's fantastic news. We started out the year good. Our revenues are tracking ahead of last year, currently by $2.1 million. And our revenues are our expenditures are only up $140,000 for last year. So that helped to increase that. And we hope, I hope that we will be able to maintain this trend throughout the year. But as I always caution the board, we need to be diligent and we need to be conservative when it comes to dealing with our finances while doing everything that we can to address the student needs. So anyway, so that's the information I have for you on the financial statements. Questions?
Okay. Any questions for John? Okay.
John, relative to the board's goal now, we set a goal a few months, and we talked about this last time, but I'm trying to remember what the policy goal was.
To maintain a June 30 ending fund balance of 15 to 20%.
And what is our goal? What is our percentage now?
So our percentage as of June 30th was 16.48%.
Okay, that's good.
And just for reference for the board, so we were 16.48. The year before we were 13.52. To get back up, Before that, we were not above 15, haven't been above 15% since 2013. At that point, we were 18.8%. Back in 2011, that was the first time in recent history that we were above the 20%, and at that point, we were 22. And then the few years before that, in the low to middle 20s, back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Well, it looks
You're
like we're moving forward on that.
Yes.
That's good news.
Thanks to John and his
Yes.
team for his work on that. He's got a
Yeah.
good group of folks.
All right. The next item is the consent agenda item for approval. It's 6.2 through 6.7. Need a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly.
No, it's okay. I'm just here in case anything's
I
needed.
know, I'm so used to you
That's
guys
good.
being on the same level. Yeah, Kelly, would you like to talk about these?
We're just asking for approval for all attached hires, stipends, modifications, and separations.
All right, well, then I'll ask, does anyone have any questions?
Did you have more new teachers come today to the, wonderful.
And we will still have more.
Perfect.
Yes.
Love to hear it.
All right.
I
Yeah,
make
it
a
was nice
motion-
to meet all the new teachers on Monday.
It was very nice.
So, all right, I need a motion.
Vicky's motion.
I make a motion we approve as presented.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions on this? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries.
Can we, now that it's a little quiet, I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but what did we actually decide? Because it was, I mean, like, because it was for the mitigation program, are we allowed to go back and talk, like, to say what was actually said? Because I don't know if anybody really heard what was said.
Okay, since it's quiet, you just wanted to
Yes,
repeat
just clarify what the motion was, because we heard, but I don't know if
yes.
they just heard maybe bits and pieces.
Okay. All right, so.
And what was the amendment?
Would you like me to reread it?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. The first motion? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, John.
I move that the Board of Education revises the COVID mitigation measures for the 21-22 school year as proposed by the district administration to include a mask requirement for all individuals inside of a district building or attending a district event, including students, staff, visitors, for any period of time when Jefferson County is in the red or orange indicator status for COVID-19 warning system as identified by the Jefferson County Health Department to be implemented by district administration. And that was the motion to amend the administrative presented COVID plan. Now, this is...
Wait a minute, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Judy.
Did you say red, orange, or yellow, or just
No, red or, just
Red and orange.
red and
right.
orange? Okay.
And did you say for inside district events or just all district events?
It says individuals inside of a district building are attending a district event.
So do you mean inside the building? Yeah, events inside the building?
Events inside the building,
Yeah.
yes,
So it
correct.
needs to be inside district events, not outside.
Inside of district, it says, inside of district building are attending a district event.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the second motion was to approve the plan as amended, and it said, I move that the Board of Education adopts the revised COVID mitigation measures for the 21-22 school year as proposed by the district administration and revised by prior motion of the Board of Education to be implemented by the district administration.
I also wanted to say that I think that the public doesn't understand last year. We, repeat, has to do with the motion. Okay. Okay, then I won't say it.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't
We're
do it
okay.
then. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, Chamberlain.